Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So in April of 2024, you guys may remember, I shot a lot of videos while I was doing this. I took a trip to Kerrville, Texas, to go view the solar eclipse. On the way there were a few points along the way that I wanted to stop and sightsee. Albuquerque is along the way. El Paso. I had a moment of thought about the trip because earlier today I rewatched Dumb and Dumber 2, and El Paso was featured in there, obviously. So it brought back memories of my own trip to El Paso, but it also brought back the sadness of something, not really that sad, but soreness of an event that plagues all of my road trips. You see, I'm single, so road trips are often taken alone. I'll let you think about the logistics. Kerrville was a 16-hour drive away from Phoenix, and there were many points along the way I wanted to stop. The problem is that I would get to the point that I wanted to stop, and I would have no energy. I'd sleep in the car, and it's a big soreness of mine. And also, that time something funny happened. I had stopped in a small town. I can't remember the exact town. It had a library. It was one of those towns similar to Wallace, Idaho. You had a few plazas that were like 2 stories tall. You might have had a antique shop next to a bakery. You get the idea, right? I was During the trip, I had bought a couple of 2-liter jugs of tea. I pulled into a library to catch some sleep. It must have been 6, 7 p.m. when I pulled in there, and I went to the library to check a few things on the computer just to make sure the weather was going to be right. Then I went to my car to get some sleep. And 10, 11, maybe it was closer to midnight, and a police officer knocks on the door. And he says, "Sir, have you had anything to drink tonight?" Now, I'm so disoriented by sleep that I mistakenly show him the bottle of tea. I was thinking he was wishing me well, making sure I was hydrated. I was disoriented from just being woken up, and it confused both of us. And long story short, I almost got myself in trouble. He could have thought that I mixed alcohol into the thing. It was only after the encounter that did I realize how much uh, jeopardy I put myself into by doing that. But that's not the only road trip that has ever caused me drama like that. I was at another solar eclipse. This was 6 months before that. There was an annular eclipse. That time it was in Albuquerque, a shorter drive. I almost ran into trouble because I wanted to make sure I would wake up for the eclipse. What I had done was, the eclipse was at 9 a.m. If I remember, you can look it up, but I think it was early morning, and I wanted to make sure I wouldn't oversleep. And again, I'm traveling alone, so what do? I noticed this gas station would open at 7 a.m., and I figured I would park in a funny way to cause somebody to knock on my door to wake me up right when they open. Long story short, I get woken up by a police officer. This time, I think it was closer to 4 or 5 a.m. It was late enough that it was still very useful. Had he knocked at midnight, it would have been really annoying because I probably wouldn't have been able to get back to sleep again, right? But again, this is a common recurrence for me because I drive alone, right? Trips to Six Flags, which I love, are plagued by stuff like that, right? Trips to go see an old friend in a different city. I lived in Wallace, Idaho for some time during the pandemic, and then we went into reopening, and I went to Seattle. Every time I would take a trip back to Wallace to visit an old friend, it was plagued by stuff just like that, and it's really upsetting because now I have a job that I love, and I don't want to miss too many hours. Not that I can't. I mean, I have good rapport. I could probably very easily say, "Could I take next Thursday off?" That's not the problem. The problem is that I really need my network, right? So, for example, one of my colleagues, her family works with software engineering at a startup company. I want to really rub elbows with her and her family. It's a tutoring center. There's a lot of people coming and going, right? Both students, their parents, and also my colleagues. You never know which one is going to rub the right sparks, right? Whether it be professional life or dating life, right? So I hate to miss any of that. I treat every day at work almost like it's a networking event. So, which limits my vacations to long weekends at best. But then the driving consumes the bulk of the long weekend. I can't go to the Rocky Mountains, not unless I find somebody to drive with me, which was the inspiration behind my video earlier today. It's a sad saga. And so I still can't believe I showed the officer the half gallon of tea, thinking he was thinking if I was hydrated or not, right? I think the word drinking just is kind of problematic. We should come up with a better word for that. After all, we don't say snorting as a generic term for using cocaine, right? We say using coke or at least some kind of something that's completely distinct from any other human behavior, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.